Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay, this is from the Desert Sun. I don't think I need to subscribe. Sorry, Desert Sun, I'm only reading one article here. Let's see. I don't read enough to subscribe. Sorry, guys. And this is dated November 10th, 2019. Not very long ago. Investigation finds 630 officers convicted of misdemeanors. Yeah, of course. Many are still working. Of course. Robert Lewis, Investigative Reporting Program, and David DeBolt, Bay Area News Group. More than 80 law enforcement officers working today in California are convicted criminals with rap sheets that include everything from animal cruelty, that's great, to manslaughter, which you know is downgraded. This is just what they're telling us. They drove drunk, cheated on time cards, brutalized family members, even killed others. Great. With their recklessness on the road, probably driving drunk. But thanks to some of the weakest laws in the country, weakest laws or just not getting convicted. For punishing police misconduct, the Golden State does nothing to stop these officers from enforcing the law. I'd say that's kind of passing the buck, but I don't know. Those are among the findings of an unprecedented collaboration of newsrooms, because that's the only news we get, right? Including USA Today network publications, the Desert Sun, Ventura County Star, Reading Record, Searchlight, Salinas, Californian, and Visalia Times Delta, which spent 6 months examining how California deals with cops who break the law. Could always bring the feds in, but Today we're unveiling that review along with a unique searchable database of hundreds of current and former officers. I'm gonna have to check that out. Convicted of a crime in the past decade. Mind you, this is just what's been charged. The largest record of criminal activity among police in California ever compiled. Thanks to modern technology. The review found 630 officers convicted of a crime in the last decade, an average of more than 1 week after DUI and other serious driving offenses. Domestic violence was the most common charge. They're covering up the big ones, right? They are. I know what they do. I can't say it here. Some of them, the bad ones, I'm just saying. More than a quarter of the cases appear never to have been reported. Oh, you don't freaking say. In the media, until now. Wow, thanks for revealing it. And nearly 1 out of 5 officers in the review are still working or kept their jobs. Big freaking surprise. For more than a year after sentencing. This is what happens when corruption goes just unchecked. This story is part of a collaboration of news organizations throughout California, coordinated by the Investigative Reporting Program at UC Berkeley and the Bay Area News Group. Reporters participated from more than 30 newsrooms, including Media News Group, McClatchy, USA Today Network, Voice of San Diego, and Reveal from the Center for Investigative Reporting. They already told us this, we get it. Okay, I'm not going to read. You guys can go, I'll put the link in the description. They're just showing who all wrote the article or did the reporting, allegedly. Reporters found at least a dozen deputies with prior convictions are still on the roster at the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. I know everybody's shocked, right? Reminds me of those old gangster movies. You know, those old mob movies where the mob was always paying off the dirty cops? And the 5 officers with convictions working for the Riverside Police include the acting chief, Larry Gonzalez. Nice. Was a lieutenant in 2013 when he pleaded guilty to DUI after reportedly crashing a city-owned SUV with a blood alcohol level nearly twice the legal limit. It's just because he got caught. I know a lot of them have PTSD, so I don't want to be terrible here. Riverside Police Department's acting chief, Larry Gonzalez, is vying for the permanent post despite a drunken driving conviction. Wow. My thing is, like, I know a lot of them have PTSD, and I'm sorry for that. Like, they see a lot of crap. But you have to be held responsible and accountable. We all do. There's a Kern County Sheriff's deputy still working despite a conviction for manslaughter. Wow. Oh my God. After running over 2 people while recklessly speeding to a call. And a Santa Clara County Sheriff's deputy is back on the force after dozing off the wheel and killing a pair of elite cyclists on a training ride. Oh my God. Notice no mention of essays. Can't imagine why that would be, would you? Can you guys imagine why there's no essays with cops? Like, as if they don't, that there's no cops at all that do that? I've heard so many stories like that again and again. I'm talking about dirty cops, not the good ones. Was justice served? Absolutely not. Of course not. Said John Orban, whose friends, Christy Go, 30, and Matt Peterson, 29, wow, were killed when Santa Clara County Deputy James Tommy, counsel, crossed a double yellow line and plowed into a group of cyclists. Oh my God, you know he was drunk. Probably, I would think, on a Sunday morning in 2008. Probably on what do they call those? All-night bender? When someone holds a badge, they should be held to a higher standard. It's just what I said in my other video. In this case, he wasn't held to any standard at all. Big surprise. An Army veteran who considers himself a supporter of law enforcement. Yeah, we're learning. I don't know of an organization where if you kill 2 people, you get to keep your job after millions of dollars are paid out because of your mistake. Wow, is that sad? So that's Matt Peterson and Christy Go. They were killed. I believe 29 and 30 years old. That's a shame. All of the criminal cops who are still on the job were convicted of misdemeanors. Convicted felons can't be cops in California or in most other states. Wow, that's a great law to have. However, the review found a third of the convicted officers still working were originally charged with a felony or violent misdemeanor that could have cost them their right to carry a gun. Wow. Most managed to plead down to a lesser crime to stay on the job. Must all be working for Scientology, huh? The review also found convictions for about half of the officers still working appear never to have been covered in the media. Wow. Not like we never see that, is it? Wow, I'm just shocked. That includes an LA area school cop convicted of child endangerment. What'd I just tell you guys? A San Francisco sheriff's deputy with 2 convictions in 3 years, and a California highway patrol officer who investigated a possible domestic homicide, despite his own conviction, after a domestic dispute years before. There's another story I'm going to cover. I got to find it regarding my thoughts, and I can allude to things, if you know what I mean. Go see John Wedger. Given the power that police have, if you have cops with these kinds of records, this is what's on paper, guys. It's sort of a betrayal of the public trust. Wow, isn't that what LA Streets always says? And then some fool tried to call him a police stalker? Huh. Said Roger Goldman, a law professor. Oh yeah, real law. At St. Louis University, who studies law enforcement, licensing, and standards across the country. The reason so many of these cops are still working and the public doesn't know about their pasts has everything to do with the way California oversees its police. Is there any overseeing? Shout out to the good cops out there. We know you're out there. Under a new plan, Riverside County law enforcement agencies have agreed to now turn to an outside local agency to determine whether an officer's use of force, deadly or otherwise, was appropriate. What about when they're actively participating in crimes? Like some of these police officers that are dealing and working for Scientology. What about that? Is that a crime too? Inquiring minds want to know. Piercing the veil. The Golden State is one of only 5 in the country that doesn't decertify officers. Wow, shocking. For misconduct. Kind of sounds like politicians, huh? Or effectively strip them of a license to work in law enforcement or security. Because you know they need those dollars, right? Even when they're protecting pedophiles. That means virtually all hiring and firing decisions are up to local chiefs and sheriffs. It seems to me nonsensical that the organization responsible for setting the standards and training for the selection of police officers, like that, what's that guy, the Talman or whatever, that falsely arrested Aaron Smith Levin and let the guy who assaulted him go? He was training. Has no ability to act in case of a breach of that responsibility, said Mike McMiselli, who spent more than 30 years at California's Commission on Peace Officer Standards and Training called POST, which accredits the state's law enforcement departments. I just want to add real quick, too, I do think that it's such a stressful job that a lot of decent, good cops or good people just don't want to deal with the crap. So I think that's why they're getting the lower echelon, maybe. I don't know. Not to say, and like I say, you guys, I don't mean, I know there are a lot of good cops out there, so I'm not anti-cop. Even when an officer is found guilty of something egregious, the public, like I say, which can easily go online to learn the misdeeds of doctors, lawyers, or real estate agents, would have to hear about an officer's run-in with the law and then dig through the local courthouse for details, called cover-up. It reminds me of that old show I used to watch with my dad, the NYPD and Law and Order. Man, I love that show. When it comes to both of them, when it comes to police misconduct that doesn't result in criminal charges, California shields most records from disclosure, like hiding P-files. You know, it seems to be a real trend. But the wall of secrecy started to crack a little. Is that the code of blue they call? See, I've been around the block. I didn't fall off the bus yesterday. That's when a new law, SB 1421, required police to release internal records about officer shootings, deadly force, sexual misconduct, and dishonesty. That's when a new law, I got to look into that one. That's when a new law, SB 1421, required police to release internal records about officer shootings, deadly force, sexual misconduct, and dishonesty. A mandate many departments are still fighting. Big surprise. Shortly after that new law took effect, reporters from the investigative reporting program at UC Berkeley got a rare glimpse into officers who didn't just violate department policy, but committed crimes. no longer hidden in plain sight. Through a public records request, they received a list of the criminal convictions of nearly 12,000 people who have been law enforcement officers in California or applied to be one. Mind you, these are the ones that are out in the open, right? Always look in people's eyes. They'll tell you a lot about them. California Attorney General Javier Becerra speaks during a news conference at San Francisco City Hall Monday, August 14, 2017 in San Francisco. The state of California and city of San Francisco are suing the U.S. Department of Justice. Something about the sanctuary city. I don't know what that has to do with anything. Distraction. The list was a stunning disclosure, and State Attorney General Javier Becerra wanted it back. What does that have to do with this? Anyways, the AG's office had created lists so Post could update a database to flag when cops are ineligible to work in the state. I would be curious to see how much back and forth goes between, and I'm talking about police officers across the board and sheriffs and corrections officers. That would be interesting to see. I wonder if there's any databases, like good studies on that one. But Becerra's office refused to answer any questions about the list. Shocking. Or clarify vital information that's missing, such as which names belong to officers as opposed to merely applicants, and where they work. The Attorney General has only said the list was inadvertently released and that the reporters were breaking the law by simply possessing it. What? Reporters were breaking the law by sharing news? How is that? There's no confidentiality in that. Boy, the world's just going to the poopers. He even threatened legal action unless they give it back. Sounds like Scientology, huh? Instead, the reporting program at Berkeley joined with nearly 36 news outlets across the state to learn more about California's criminal cops. Wow. After trying to narrow down the convictions list to officers who have worked in the last decade, the reporters focused on nearly 1,000 cases, hunting down court files from nearly every county in California. They routinely encountered roadblocks. Wow. Wonder how many of these guys are Freemasons. From uncooperative government workers to missing case files to sloppy record keeping, they also poured over 10 years of news clips to identify hundreds of additional law enforcement officers missing from the state's secret list. Okay, this is getting long, guys. I don't want this to be like 30 minutes. Ultimately, the reporters identified 630 current or former officers with criminal convictions in the past decade in California. This is on record, guys. But given the state's persistent secrecy, just like Scientology, the results are only a snapshot of officers with a prior conviction. Unreal. It's a nice little graph. Driving under the influence is a big one. Domestic violence, so they go home and beat their wives. I've been saying this, and people, like, they laugh at me. I know what's up, man. Assault, non-domestic violence. And I'm not throwing away the post-traumatic stress. I understand that has a lot to do with this. But, get help. Weapon laws, larceny, theft. Oh, looky, I've been trying to say this. This is on the record. 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 Sex offenses with minor. Why would these guys protect? Why wouldn't they protect Scientology when they're doing the same thing? Okay, this isn't black and white. And again and again, I don't mean good cops. I know there's a lot of good cops out there, so please don't I think that about all you guys. Oh, here we go. Misogynist rule. Sex offense is forcible. That's on the record, guys. So that is 52 cases. So let's, the real statistics, at least double that, right? Maybe even triple it. I'd say triple it. That'll give you more of the real. Lots of sex offenses. Okay, I don't want to just go on and on, because this is a long article. I'll put the link in the description, and anyways, keep up the good fight, all you reporters and human rights advocates. Peace.